everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. If you are watching this, it's probably because you are ready to take your listing business to the next level. Maybe you're working with buyers, but you want to make that transition to working with sellers. Well, make sure to get a pen and paper ready because today I have an amazing guest with a great story. You're going to be fired up. You're going to hear so much. You're going to be like, you know what? I need to step it up. So with that being said, I'm just going to get right to it. Shawna Martinez from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome.
Wow, that was quite the introduction. Thank you so much. I'm telling you right now, I've told Loida this before. I'm like, I fangirl every time I get to see her. So the fact that I have this opportunity, thank you so much. I'm so excited and I hope that people get some value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everyone that's watching, go ahead and drop us a comment. Let us know where it is that you're tuning in from, because I know there's probably going to be people from all over the place. So drop us a comment. So while everyone does that, Shawna, for everyone that's watching that maybe is not familiar with you, just go ahead and give us a little bit about your background and a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, so I became an accidental real estate agent. So this was not in my career path whatsoever. I always thought I would be something different, and so I actually ended up in the corporate world by mistake and worked my way up to a CFO position. I was like 30 years old at the time, and I just wasn't happy. I was like working my tail off for somebody else, like building their legacy and their dream, and all the things. And so my mom was a real estate agent, so I'm a second generation realtor, and I saw her go through the real estate realm. And when she passed away, she actually had her own TC business. And the goal was always that I was going to get my real estate license and we were going to do a mother-daughter team. And what's interesting is my team, performance team, actually used to be her team. And her old business partner actually held it for me to kind of take it over and use it as my business. But once we had our last child, I just kind of looked at my husband one day and was like, are you going to be upset if I quit my job today? And he said no. And so I quit my job, and my husband and I have been full-time real estate agents for 7 years now. It's been amazing. I've learned a lot of lessons, some very expensive, hard lessons to learn. But it's been a very big blessing in our lives. And now I couldn't imagine doing anything different now that I do this. Like, it's just amazing. It's opened so many doors, and yeah, I just love it.
That's so awesome, and I feel like I know you, even though this is the first time that I'm like really interviewing you, but I know a lot about your story. That's why I'm like, I got to have Shawna on here because there's going to be so many agents that could probably relate to your experience, what you have gone through. And I'm sure that there's also a lot of agents that are starting out and want to make sure that they do things correctly, especially as we're heading into the new year.
Yeah.
So kind of share with us what your business looked like once you made that decision to go full-time into real estate.
Yeah. So I think I just kind of fell into the same pattern that a lot of people do. They get their real estate license, they go to a brokerage, they don't even interview multiple because I didn't even know that was a thing. My mom was with Keller Williams, so I went to Keller Williams, and it was like, sign here, and good luck. And we're going to take, half your commission and, have fun, kind of thing. No one gave me a roadmap and said, hey, if you want to achieve these things, these are the things you need to do. If you go on a listing appointment, you have to have a listing presentation. Like, I didn't know any of those things. So when I say I literally became successful by accident, now it's much more regimented and much more of a plan. And, just everything's a numbers game. But when I first got into this, I didn't know anything. The first listing I ever got was actually right after I got my license. And it was from a sphere of influence client. And I took cell phone pictures. I forgot to exclude the curtains. So that was a whole other thing. And like, I was literally just making tons of mistakes. I didn't know anything. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to start working like the open houses. I'm going to start doing open houses. And so just, again, not having any rhyme or reason to what I was doing or any process or any systems in place, I would just, get on my phone or my email on Thursday mornings, and I would email agents that just had listings hit the market. And I would just host open houses in those neighborhoods. And I built my business to be, I was closing 12 to 14 transactions as a part-time agent, making six figures on top of the six figures I was making with my CFO position. And so I was like, this is really good. I could do this, right? And eventually I just got to a point where I either had to quit my CFO job or I had to quit the real estate world. And I didn't want to do either at the time because my husband was working for Microsoft. He said, hey, listen, I'll get my real estate license and run your back office. And I was like, perfect. That's, we're very much opposites. We didn't need a disc profile to show us that, but we are very much opposites. I'm on a disc profile. And so he kind of ran the whole back office. And so all I did was my whole job was just getting more business. It was through open houses, making appointments, meeting people face to face, those kinds of things. And then when I left my CFO job, I went into real estate full time, and I knew I wanted to be great at it, but I literally had no idea like how to go from point A to point Z, right? But I did know that I had been coached my entire life, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to hire a business coach because with sports and everything, I always had a coach, and that was probably the best thing I could have ever done because it will take you from plan A to point Z, and way less time, less money, less frustration, all of that. And so I had done, some deals. I hadn't done a lot. I had maybe 2 listings at this point. And I ended up signing up with Tom Ferry Coaching. And one of the first events I went to was probably the most important event I could have ever went to. It was the Blueprint event. And where it literally like lays out like how to make a plan, a business plan, which I was like, what is this? But one of the first things he asked us was, are you interested or are you committed? And I thought that's very interesting because up until that point, I was just interested. I had just like put my toes in the water, just dabbled in it a little bit. And then by the time I left that conference, I was like, okay, like this is my business. Like I am in this. I'm 100% committed. Now I'm obsessed with my business. Like I eat, drink, live, all the things real estate. But and then the other thing he made a point to say was, if you're going to have a business, you have to run it like a business. And up until that point, I didn't know anything. I wasn't tracking. I didn't know anything about tracking and measuring. I didn't know about systems and processes. I didn't know any of that. And so I learned it along the way. In fact, I had a listing appointment once before I had gotten into real estate full time, and somebody had come into an open house I had done and talked to me, and I stayed in touch with them. I don't even know how because I didn't have any systems. And they called me to do a listing appointment one day, and I still cringe to this day thinking about it because they walk me through the house. They're telling me all the things they did. You know how sellers are. And we sit down at the kitchen table. I didn't have a listing presentation. I didn't have anything to show them, nothing. I pretty much just sat down and said, yeah, so you want to sell? Okay, that's great. I didn't have numbers. I didn't have data. I didn't have anything. And needless to say, I did not get the listing. But it made me realize, even at that point, I didn't realize what I didn't know. And so, just coming into this full, having me and my husband both in this, I knew that we had to figure this out because there was no plan B. And that's when the other event I went to was a summit event. And before the event start, like Tom has Q&A, and they let you get, like, if you're lucky enough, you get the microphone. They gave it to me. They didn't realize what they were doing at the time. So they gave it to me. And I said to him, what was the advice that you would give somebody who wants to go from a buyer-based business to a listing-based business? And he looked right at me without even flinching and said, you need to go on 100 listing appointments between now and the end of the year. But here's the thing. It was like middle of September. So now, mind you, I'd only been on 2 or 3 listing appointments my entire time being licensed for 3+ years. Didn't know anything about becoming a listing agent. Didn't know anything about it at all. And then he wanted me to go on 100 appointments, like in 3.5 months. Like what?
Yeah, how?
Yeah, it was like, and again, it was like, go out and do it and good luck. I mean, there wasn't like somebody saying, these are the things you need to do and this is what you need to focus on. It was like, I had to figure it out. And I did. And I actually went on 101 listing appointments from the middle of September to the end of the year. And I will say 100%, it changed my life. It changed my business. It turned it into a business. And 100% my business is exactly what it is because of that challenge 6.5 years ago.
That's so awesome, because even just hearing 101 listing appointments, but the part that I like that you said the most is that I figured it out. Because I feel that many times agents just find excuses for not to do something, or I can't do it. I don't have the leads in this. No, you figured it out.
Yeah.
So for you at that time, when you did this challenge, was it just yourself and your husband and you were just like 2-person team, or what did that look like?
Yeah. So that's the thing, is it was just me and my husband, and we had a TC at the time that we had kind of borrowed from a team we were on, and she's a third party. So she kind of helped us on the contract side, but yeah, it was just me and my husband. So like, I would say, oh, I have this appointment today. And he would, print out some stuff for me. I'd have a folder, I would take it. And out of the 101 listing appointments I went on, I only got 20 listings. But what was interesting about it is all of the listing appointments I went on towards the end, I was signing them one after the other, because I had been doing the same things every single day and working on becoming really good at objection handling and things like that. So, and then, I think the goal was, and I think I did what the goal was, which was I learned how to gain confidence as being a listing agent, how to go in and talk to sellers, and how to actually sell houses as a listing agent. And for that, I mean, it did its job. Would I have liked more than 20 listings? Absolutely. But the beginning of that year, Q1 was, I mean, amazing. Like my business just took off, and it's just been an amazing ride ever since.
That's so awesome. And for everyone that's watching, we have already some people that have tuned in: Maryland, Arizona, California. Go ahead and also drop us your questions. This is a great time that we have Shawna on here. She'll probably be able to answer any specific question that you have. But going back to your story, so it's yourself, your husband, you went on these appointments, only took 20 listings. In the beginning, were you already familiar with what the process should look like for, I don't know, listing appointments or generating leads, or how did you even start getting these appointments?
So I started kind of diving into the coaching community, the ecosystem, as we call it, and asking questions. Like one thing I did learn very young and very early on in my life and career was I'd rather look stupid once and ask a question than to continue not to ask a question and look stupid multiple times, right? And what I've always figured out also is that if I have that question, most times most other people will have that question, but they're just too scared to ask it. So I really dived into the ecosystem saying, hey, listen, like I'm going to this 100 listing appointment challenge. Like who has a listing agreement that they love? Who'd be willing to share? Who has a system in place? Like I was asking all the things and I was just ripping and duplicating because here's the thing is we're in an industry where it's not rocket science. I mean, spoiler alert for those who think it is, it's not rocket science and we're not reinventing the wheel. And so we get so much further together. And so I partnered with agents that are doing better than me and they have no problem answering my questions, however elementary they are. They would answer all the questions I had. And sometimes they would just get on a Zoom call like this or a phone call and walk me through things. And that took me so much further than I would have if I had ever tried to do it on my own. Because when we first started this, I'm telling you, we didn't know what we didn't know. Like a lot of other people. And I think sometimes people get analysis paralysis. And for me, it was like, I'm all in on this deal. So like, I got to figure this out. So I was literally like, one of the things I decided to focus on as far as my lead generation was it's all a numbers game. If I need to go on 100 listing appointments in 3.5 months, where am I going to get the numbers? Where am I going to get the data? Like, how am I going to go? Who are these people I'm going on listing appointments for? And so I chose to focus on expireds for sell by owners canceled. So I used, a system like Espresso Agent, where, because I looked at my system and I'm like, I have 10,000 people that expired off the market in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like, okay, there's the numbers. I'm going to focus on that. And I did. And by learning to work those, it just really helped me build, my experience set, my skill set, all of that stuff. And then with it along the way, we started learning, okay, we're doing this. Let's try to systemize it. Or, we've done this, like we probably need a checklist so that everything's done the exact same way every single time. So a lot of it was like literally hands, and feet on the ground, like learning in real time. And I wouldn't recommend that for a lot of people because it, again, it's just very frustrating and you could spend a lot of time and a lot of money on things you shouldn't. But I really dove into the ecosystem and like learning from these amazing agents who have been doing it for years. And that made all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it's who you surround yourself with and also learning from people that have already been successful because, we don't have to reinvent the wheel or come up with a new system. And I love that you were talking about the expireds for sell by owners and cancels because that's also what I focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that a lot of agents are scared to go after those lead sources, especially in the beginning, because maybe they don't know how to respond to objections. But just like you, for me, over time, every single call, I just got better with my objection handling to the point that now I'm excited about making these calls because I'm like, okay, send me whatever objections you have because I know exactly what to say.
Well, not only that, but they need someone like you.
Exactly.
Like the thing with expireds is they saw the value in having a real estate agent list their property. They just didn't get it right. And what's interesting is I actually, during the 100 listing appointment challenge, was much more successful with the for sale by owners who obviously didn't see the value of hiring an agent. They thought they could save the money, but I became really good with for sale by owners. And that's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. But you're right. Like expires, like so when I first started this, I didn't have the confidence because I didn't have the experience behind, my skills, to be able to show what I could do. And as I started building that skill set and started working with more people, my mindset went from I'm trying to just set appointments to these people really deserve a better service and they need to work with someone like myself who really cares about their home and getting them the results they're looking for because they've tried it with other people. It's not working. And so when you change your value and what you really believe about yourself, like that makes all the difference too, because people they can see that or hear that on the other end of the line.
Absolutely. And I think it comes down to mindset as well and looking at things that way. I get agents all the time that say, how do you overcome like call reluctance or like, I'm scared of picking up the phone or what if I don't know what to say? And it's like, look, if you're not making the call, another agent is, and they're going to
Yes,
set the appointment and they're going to get paid. And they
that's
probably
right.
have half the skill that you have.
Mhm.
So you're either going to do it or you're not, but
Or
someone's
somebody
getting
else is
paid.
gonna do it. Yes. So I had somebody, so I kind of had that same thing kind of with me, even though I had to do it because I was in this challenge, but because I had to check in with Tom Ferry every single day and say, hey, I went on appointment 1 of 100, 7 of 100, 30 of 100. Like I had to check in with him every single day. So that in itself, having accountability, right, is like the next level. But I just think it's interesting that people will. So I had that same kind of fear where I was like, well, what about what they're not nice to me or whatever? And an agent finally said to me, what's the worst they're going to do? Are they going to shoot you through the phone? And I was like, okay, like you might have, so that's true. It's like, I mean, all the worst they're going to do is like maybe cuss you out and hang up the phone. It's like, it's okay. Just move on to the next one. Like you can't take it personal because they don't know you personally,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was like, well, they don't know where I live or what I look like. So
Mhm.
if I mess up, just hang up and go on to the next one.
Yeah. When I started doing this, I was awful. Like, I mean, I've told people this so many times, but like I would leave a piece of paper on my desk. And like when I would call and they would say, oh, we're not interested in selling it. Okay, have a good day. And I would hang up and be like, and then I would write that objection down. Right. And this is before the land of ChatGPT, which is there is zero excuse for you not to know what to say or how to respond or anything without, we have ChatGPT. And so I would get on Google and I would Google how to overcome that objection. And then it would take me to YouTube. And that's actually how I found you, was because Loida used to, I don't know if you still do, but she would actually record herself making the expired calls. I remember you sitting on like a bedroom floor.
Yeah.
And then you would make the calls and like hearing you and that's really, to be honest, like, I'm not just saying this because I'm with you, but like, I listened to how you used to be when you first started and then where you were when I came into the game. And I thought, she's made a huge improvement. And now it was like, you were just setting appointments like a boss. And I was like, okay, so everybody starts out sucking. So just realize you're going to suck until you do it every single day, day in, day out, until you build that skill set. And then it's going to become like, I mean, everything just kind of rolls off your back. You're very quick at objection handling. It's just having a conversation. That's literally all it is.
Exactly.
And so that really motivated me to keep going because I was like, hey, so I actually started recording my calls, not posting it. I wasn't as brave as you posting it on social media, but I would send it to my coach.
Yeah.
And she would listen to it and say, hey, like you should have went for the appointment with this one. Like, this is what you should have said. And I was like, but it's good to have that critique and that feedback because otherwise it's just me by myself. And Google at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're bringing up, recording the phone calls. Obviously, I was putting it out. And I remember when I posted my first for sale by owner live call, that literally was the first call I ever made to a for sale by owner. And it was, in that bedroom. And I'm like, oh my God.
And you were like reading from a script.
I was.
Yes.
And I sounded so bad and scripted, but I'm like, you know what? This is
start where you are. Literally just start where you are, because if you don't start, you're never going to grow. You can be successful at any single lead source, but you have to be consistent in it.
Exactly.
And that's where most people just give up when they're like, well, I've called 2 days and I haven't, I haven't gotten, well, I mean, first of all, it's not, you have the leads. It's just you have to get better at converting.
And it goes back to working on your skills and how much work are you putting in to better your skills, and not just, hoping and praying that then this next phone call, I'm going to set the appointment if you haven't even practiced or know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Just dive in. I'm one of those people, like, I make decisions and then I figure it out later. And it's worked out pretty well for me. I mean, it's like, if it aligns with my business, I do it. And if it's something I feel uncomfortable about, it's probably because something really great is on the other side.
Yeah.
You and I both know that nothing comes from your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So when you set those, well, you got the, what was it? 21 listings from that, the 101 listing appointments. Share with us how your confidence was in the beginning versus at the end of that challenge.
Yeah. So, I mean, just case in point, like, I think I exude a little bit of confidence that people can see. And I want you to know that the person sitting here today is night and day the person that started with the 100 listing appointment challenge. Like, I didn't know anything. I literally knew nothing. And then I just would reach out to people and I would research stuff and I would Google things. And I came across people like Kevin Ward and people like you that are making these calls and coaching people on how to use these lead sources. And then I just started like role playing. And then I would role play my listing presentation with my husband. I remember sitting at our kitchen table and I remember having my presentation. It was all laminated and all that kind of stuff, which was, if you don't have a listing presentation, find somebody who does, rip and duplicate it, make it your own, and then laminate them, because I would take them on my listing appointments. And it gave me a flow, because at that point I didn't have a flow. I didn't have a way that I sit down and the style of ways that I talk with sellers now. I didn't have a flow to what I was doing. It allows you to actually go through and make sure you're asking all the right questions and you're showing the right things. And it allows everything to be very, easy to follow. And I remember sitting down at the kitchen table doing that with my husband and just being like, just cringe. I mean, he wouldn't even ask me hardly any questions. I'm like, you're the worst. You're the worst person to do this with. Like, I am not getting this listing with the presentation I just gave you, but I would just do it over and over. And I would invite like people from his family or my family, and I would keep practicing and keep practicing. And as cringe as it was, like, it was necessary.
I remember for me, I was very similar, and it got to the point that I was dreaming that I was on listing presentations. Like at a listing appointment, I'm doing the listing presentation in my dreams, and I'm like, okay, now I have it down. So whenever I do get objections, I know I'm gonna get the listing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I mean, I know a lot of people are looking for like, what can I buy and what things can I do in my business to implement, like hire an ISA, all these different things to make things less uncomfortable for us. But really, I mean, the magic is in the mundane. I say that all the time. The magic is in like the boring things you have to do every single day in and day out in your business. And I talk to business owners all the time, and I'm sure you could probably, add to this or whatever, but they're all the same. Nobody's saying that just overnight success happened. It was like little steps. They kept compounding and kept compounding and working on your skill set and being able to talk to people and have good conversations. And that's literally it. Just being consistent in your business or whatever it is that you're trying to do, just being consistent in it just made all the difference. Nobody woke up overnight successful.
Exactly. So at what point did you start to scale your business? Right now, what does it look like? Is it your husband, yourself, and like a small team, or just for everyone that's listening?
Yeah. So I went from just me and my husband and like a TC, and then I hired an assistant. And then that didn't work out right. So I went through a lot of challenges. At one point I had a team of like 13 agents. They were all past clients. That's a whole other thing. Don't ever do that. That's the thing is I put myself on social media and everybody sees where I started and where I'm at, and they get inspired. And I love that. I love inspiring other people, but it's not my responsibility to keep, to make them successful. Like, I love it that they use me and that I inspire them, but they don't need to be on my team. So I made that mistake. And so now I figured out that the profitability is really with keeping it small. So for me, I try to do 100 transactions a year. 75% of my business is agent to agent referrals. The other 25% come from sphere of influence, social media, and past clients. And so it's me, myself, or it's me, myself. It's my husband and myself. And then we have our TC still. And now I have a full-time listing coordinator, because right now I have 26 listings. That's a full-time job in itself. So she handles all the listing side. I have a VA that's our admin support. And then I have an editor who does our video editing VA. And then I have a showing assistant. So now, and that allows me to have a lot more work-life balance. So I can still do 100 transactions a year, but I'm only working 4 days a week, maybe 30 hours a week.
Yeah. At this point, with everything that you're doing, you need to have those people in place. If not, you're going to be working 24/7. And obviously you have your family and your kids.
Yep.
So let's briefly talk about that, because I'm sure that there's a lot of ladies here that are watching this. Maybe they are doing this part-time and want to transition out. How do you balance your family with real estate?
Yeah. So it's really tough. So we have 4 kids. So it wasn't like it's just me and my husband. Like, we had 4 children we still had to take care of. In fact, when I got into real estate full time, we had a newborn. And so I remember like many nights just holding him and like running comps and things like that. My husband too. And I would say the biggest thing that we did with our family, because one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, bust your butt for 3 years and you'll set yourself up for life. And I didn't realize that till I was outside that 3-year mark, but I busted my butt for 3 years, and my business is kind of on autopilot now, because of the efforts I put in for 3 years. But you sacrifice a lot of time with your family, and there's not a lot of work-life balance. So you have to understand that you have to sacrifice a lot at the beginning for a big reward at the end. But we actually brought our kids into our goals. So I actually said, when I was doing the 100 listing appointment challenge, all they saw me working. They didn't understand what I was doing. And finally I said, listen, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And when I accomplish it, we're going to celebrate as a family. Let me tell you something. Nothing will bring more accountability in your life and make you actually finish something that you start than telling your kids. And then I remember to this day, like it was New Year's Eve. We were leaving our house and my kids were in the car, and I looked over and I go, I just went on my 101st listing appointment. And my kids just huge cheers. Like, so proud of me. As it was just an amazing feeling. So I would say, one, you definitely need to bring your kids in and let them know what you're trying to do, so it becomes a family thing and not just a you thing. And then also, like, I now schedule a day off. So before I started not doing Friday through Sunday, we would take Fridays off and spend it with our youngest. He was 2 at the time, and we would do whatever he wanted to do. If it was going to the park, it was going to the movies. So that just became our day. And now I've just kept Friday as a day off, and then now I have Saturday through Sunday. So make sure you have some boundaries in place. Make sure you have set. You'd be surprised at how much more productive you are if you have an actual set schedule of the days off during the week you're going to be off. Like if you're going to be off, Friday and Saturday or work every other Saturday, you'll work your butt off during the days that you actually work so that you have that day off because you know that day is coming. And so I would say start with that because it's really hard, but just know that it's going to be a lot of sacrifice up front, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. And I bet your kids, I could see it in the car. They're all excited about your 101 listing appointment.
Yeah. And then we went and celebrated as a family, a couple days later or whatever. And it was great. And, I made sure to tell them, thank you so much, for, supporting me and letting me, do this. And just know that I'm trying to do this for our family and to better our lives. And, they've just always been, I have very extremely supportive family, and that makes all the difference.
That's awesome. And something that I know we connected on as well is that we're both part of Reel.
Yeah.
So I joined Reel at the end, I think it was October 2022. Share kind of how your transition was and maybe where you were before for anyone that's listening.
Yeah. So, I say a lot about, ripping and duplicating and learning from other agents. And I'm telling you, I've been with Keller Williams, I've been with EXP, I've been with all these, a couple other brokerages, and they're all great. Every model has something good about it. Right. And what model speaks for me that maybe doesn't speak for somebody else. But I will say the culture at Reel, like when we just say it's different here, it just is. It's different. Like everybody's willing to share. Everybody wants to support each other. Everybody wants everybody to succeed. And it's something that I've never been a part of before. And since I partnered with Reel, my business is more profitable. I work less. I have more systems and processes in place. And these are all things that I've gotten from these other agents that are within our brokers that are just amazing. And it's opened so many doors that I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah. That's pretty much what my experience has been as well. The collaboration part, meeting other agents, and just the willingness of them being able to help each other out and just share.
Yeah.
That's why, I feel that even us collaborating here, maybe if it was someone else, some other company, they might be hesitant, but at this point, you know what? I feel like I have nothing to lose. Let me just connect and we're going to do this. And there's so many opportunities that have even come for me of other agents, referrals, connections that now we're like lifetime friends. And if it wouldn't have been for that, it would have never happened.
Yeah. So, it's been amazing. I've been with them for a little over 2 years, and it's just been, everything has just been amazing. I don't have one complaint about Reel, and I've been with a couple other brokerages, and it's never been that way with anybody else. So I love it here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for everyone that's watching here, if you guys have thought about joining Reel or have a question, reach out to Shawna or myself, and we'd be happy to answer any of the questions that you have.
Yeah.
Now, as we're getting ready to wrap this up, we're heading over to 2025. There's a couple months left. Thanksgiving's around the corner. Christmas is as well. A lot of agents are taking time off.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for those agents to
don't take off? Don't take off. My advice is a bunch of agents take off between Christmas or between Thanksgiving and New Year. Just know that by the time, we're in 90-day cycles. So by the time you start doing the work again, you're not going to reap the benefits of that for 90 days. So if you look at it on a calendar, that's almost 6 months off. There's no way you're going to hit your goals if you do that. So take those days off, maybe take a couple days around it, but keep going in your business, because however you end this year is going to 100% impact how you start next year. And you want to start, 2024, I just had lunch with another agent at Reel, and she's amazing too. But we were talking about, this year we've worked 3 times or more as hard to get every deal to close. I'm hoping that 25 is better, but no matter what, all I can control is what I can control. I can't control the market. I can't control anything else. And so I would say just work on your skill set. Make sure you have stuff in order, because I think 2025 is going to be a phenomenal year.
And based on your experience, going on 100 and more listing appointments, it's possible.
Yes.
So 100%. For anyone
possible.
That's like, that's impossible. No, Shawna did it.
Yes. And I teach it in the Reel Academy, which is open to all agents. And then I also teach on Monday, I'm doing a SEAL team treat, or a SEAL team webinar on it with Reel, which is open to all agents as well, which kind of teaches you how to build out that support staff and keep it tight and keep it profitable, and then, keep you happy.
Awesome. Yeah. So if any of you are watching and you want to take a part of that, just DM Shawna, and then I'm sure she'll be able to direct you to how to sign up for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's see. We did have a question earlier when you were talking about partners. So Jane just asked, what do you mean by partner? Like partnering with agents, just for clarification. I know that Jane's a newer agent. She just got in business. So yeah.
So partners, like I reach out to agents that are not part of my brokerage, just agents in general, like, just agents that I see on social media, like Loida. And they actually, the girl I had lunch with today was a girl I met on social media, and like, she's very good. So I learned things from them. But what I mean is I am finding people who are doing things that I want to do at a level that I want to do it. And I don't know how to get there to from where I am. And so I get with them and I ask them, hey, teach me how you're doing this. How are you doing that? And so it could also be somebody who partners with me at Real. Like I have agents that come in and partner with me at Real, and everything I learn, I teach them, and we help each other grow. So partnership can look however you want, but for me, I partner with agents who do it better. It doesn't matter what brokerage they're at. I want to know, what are you doing to get where you are, because you're doing something I really want to do.
Exactly. There you go, Jane. If you guys have any other questions right now, would be a great time to ask, because we're getting ready to wrap this up. I feel like we can just keep going and
I
going and talking
know.
forever.
I know.
Maybe we should do it like the Loida and Shawna show, like every week or something.
Well, I don't want to bring your ratings down. So.
No, we'll let the people let us know in the comments. If you guys want to see more of Shawna, let me know. Drop a comment. And right now is a great time, once again, to drop your last questions. But Shawna, this has been great. I really appreciate you sharing like your story and everything. I think it's awesome, everything that you have accomplished.
Thank you.
It's something that not a lot of people can say, because it takes a lot of dedication. I'm sure that there's been many times that you're like, man, I want to throw in the towel and give up and like cry and go under a rock.
But what's the alternative? I could never go back to an employee.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like once you do things on your own and you're able to build a business, it's so hard to transition into something else, because you see the potential. And then from there, it's great that you have a supportive family that just wants to see you win, and being surrounded by a community, the Tom Ferry ecosystem that just like keeps on catapulting your success.
Yeah, I'm extremely blessed. I'm very happy.
Yes, awesome. Well, Shawna, thank you once again for being here. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Thank you,
Bye.
Loida.